Okay, so the next emotion family we're going to be talking about is sadness and grief. Sadness and grief is a wide range of emotions that are represented by the metal element. And this element affects our lungs and our large intestines. These are the organs that deal with releasing things from the body. So sadness and grief represent the act of letting go. When we're experiencing sadness, it's usually because there's been some type of a loss or some type of a hurt where we have to let go of our impressions of certain people or certain goals or certain standards, right? And we have to work through our grief to let go of these things and to stop holding on to them. Grief is not about regret, but release. And in the process, we're turning our disappointments, our hurts, our loss, or anger into self-discovery. This set of emotion also includes worry. When we're not allowing our sadness to direct our actions and flow freely through us, it can cause us to feel isolated, to feel withdrawn. It can affect our ability to relate to ourselves and to others, and we can feel entitled. We can get a chip on our shoulders, and it can lead to self-righteous behavior and overly judging others. Okay, so when we're experiencing sadness and grief, we will very likely have the urge to cry, or we'll just find ourselves crying. And this could be a sobbing cry, or a tearing cry, or a sniffling cry. We can have tightness in our chest or in our throat, where it's hard to breathe, or it's hard to swallow or to speak. We can feel extremely tired and sluggish and have no energy or motivation. We can develop insomnia, where our thoughts are just racing and racing and racing, and we're not able to feel safe enough and at peace enough to fall asleep. This can also cause us to enter into a depression. When we are experiencing sadness and grief, our behaviors can cause us to be quieter, to withdraw away from others. Sometimes we overcompensate and we just put on this beautiful mask and pretend everything is totally good. But we don't let people support us when we do that. Sadness can help us remember things very clearly. It's like a picture, and a snapshot is taken of an event, and we can recall it years, decades later. When we're overrun by sadness, though, in the moment, it can be hard for us to remember day-to-day things. It also allows us to hold on to a larger picture or a larger perspective when we're responding to it, because we can see how even though we've experienced that loss and we've suffered that injustice, we are now different people and we've become empowered by it. But when we're in the thick of it, especially if our sadness is turning into the development of depression, we can be overrun and totally lose the big picture scenario, and we need help. So this happens, right, if sadness is not allowed to flow freely through our experience and provide us with the proper release and the fluidity to stay grounded and to bring proper relaxation and rejuvenation back into our system. Can you imagine if we had to hold on to everything we've ever experienced? Just think about it. If we never got rid of anything in our lives, how much stuff and how much energy it would take to just keep and maintain all of those things, right? So it's very important to relax and rejuvenate us when we let these things off our plate. When sadness is allowed to overbuild and overburden us, we don't get to build ourselves. We don't get to grow. We stay stunted and stagnant. We find ourselves with an overflow of metal in our system. And occasionally, if we have enough of this built up over time, or we have a big event where this is here, it's a sudden tragic loss, or there's multiple things in succession that we're being asked to grieve, then we can experience physical symptoms. There's 4 physical symptoms here. And again, you need to experience both parts of the symptom in order for it to be considered to have something to do with this overabundance of sadness and grief, this overabundance of metal in the system. Okay, so our lungs, if we're, see, I'm coughing now, but just because I'm coughing doesn't mean I have an overabundance of metal in my system. It would have to also correspond to the liver. So if my liver was also causing me to feel pain along my thighs, and if I had a bitter taste in my mouth, and I was irritable, and my pulse was wiry, then those symptoms all together could be attributed to an overabundance and an imbalance of metal within my system. So please go ahead and feel free to read through items 2, 3, and 4 and answer the couple questions below, and then we'll see you in just a few minutes to talk about anger.